These are the Kill Shakespeare guys. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves so I don't mess up your names?
I'm Anthony Delcol.
I thought my name was Anthony.
No, I'm Anthony Delcol.
And I'm Connor McCreery.
And somebody might be lying. Anyway, are you guys ready for our 6 questions?
No.
Well, I'm going to ask
them. This interview's done.
Connor, come back here.
All right. So, this is going to be weird. Okay, so question number 1 is, how did you get started working in comics?
Well, how do we get started working in comics?
Well, I mean, Connor is a big comics fan, actually.
God.
And he actually used to work at the Silver Snail in Toronto, so that was one of his big influences growing up, was a really big fan of comics. So I think that's where Connor really got excited about the notion of comics, and that's kind of what pushed us a little bit towards the Kill Shakespeare thing, because I'm not as familiar with the comic space.
Yes, Anthony here is the Shakespeare geek of the two of us, and I'm the comic geek, as we said. And originally we thought Kill Shakespeare would be great as a video game or a feature film, and it was after I worked at the Silver Snail, myself being Connor, of course, that we kind of realized how great a medium comic books actually is. The breadth of the stories and how fantastic it was. We thought that it would be a great medium for Kill Shakespeare, so this is our first comic book project.
All right. So question number 2 is, did you read comics when you were kids? And if you did, who were some of your influences when you were children?
Well, I read mostly Archie. I wasn't a big comics reader, but I really did enjoy...
You as Connor, or is it?
No, it's Anthony.
Oh, it's Anthony.
Why would I be Connor?
Because Connor's the cool guy.
Well, you are the cool guy. You should be happy about that.
Connor's the cool
No, I mostly just read Archie. As you know, I enjoyed Archie, and I wasn't a huge comics person. It wasn't until Connor sort of introduced me to a lot of books like The Walking Dead. I enjoy Ex Machina. There's a whole bunch of different stories that kind of drew me into comics and made me realize, I kind of thought they were mostly for kids or just superheroes. I didn't realize things like blankets, that was something Connor gave me that I really enjoyed. So it was pretty cool to discover this whole different language. I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate that he, put me up to comics.
And I've always been a big comics fan. Going back all the way to when I was young. I collect I was big into Spider-Man. I was big into Wolverine. Of course, I love Wolverine because it's Canadian, so you can't go wrong with that. Leading up to, it was really until late high school, early university, where I kind of started to lose touch with comics. And then I was just looking for a job one day about 6 or 7 years ago. I was working with Anthony here on some projects, and I needed a part-time job because the development, for TV development, it wasn't paying that much. So I kind of walked by the Silver Snail in Toronto, and it was great. And I walked in, and I hadn't really read comics that much, but I got the job, and it just kind of it opened up my eyes to the new stories that were being told. Like Why the Last Man and Blankets, as Anthony here has talked about. And so in terms of influences when I was young, I was just really big into the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby types. I just loved the Bam Pow stuff, and it was simple, but it really taught me a thing or two about literature. And I wasn't that great in school, and I read the comics. It was something that really brought reading to life.
Excellent answers. Question number 3. What are you currently working on?
Well, beyond Kill Shakespeare, we don't have a lot of time for much else. One thing we've learned about being a creator-owned book, to kind of have that model with IDW, is that you really have to make this your whole thing, your whole life. It's interesting. It's a bit of a risk because we don't have that. Well, what are we working on next? What's the next project after this? This is the next project after this, and if it's not well received, that's our big risk. Is we don't have something else to just say, hey, no, well, if you didn't like that, we've got this going on. And if we have some old projects that Connor and I worked together years ago, but I guess we'd like to go back to those, but we haven't had the time.
I think the answer she was looking for is we're working on Kill Shakespeare, which is an action 12-issue action series from IDW Publishing, in which we take all of Shakespeare's greatest heroes and all of his most menacing villains and put them all together in the same world, the same story, the same adventure. They're all on a quest to track down and kill or save a reclusive wizard by the name of William Shakespeare.
All right, question number 4. What graphic novel or comics titles have you read in the last year that you think are fantastic for kids?
Three Shadows. That is if you're going to hand a kid one graphic novel, I hope you hand them that because it is brilliant.
I'm really late to the game, but it was about a year ago or so where I finally read Bone for the first time. That's for children, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Enough so that for my niece, that's exactly what I got her for her birthday, and I was really looking forward to that because that was her first graphic novel that she had ever read. So I thought this would be a great introduction into the medium.
Cool.
And we're gonna plug one Canadian thing. We'll plug Skim. Really good, really smart, and set in a fictitious school that actually is one that Connor's high school used to play sports against.
It's true.
The girls' part of his school used to play against this school that Skim is set in. So
yes, I remember those games very well.
Yes.
yeah, you're good.
Thank you.
All right, question number 5. If you were stuck on a desert island with only one book, graphic novel or prose, this is any book, what would that book be?
What's the book? An Adventurer's Handbook, which would help me to escape from the island. Why the Last Man? Teaching me how to be the last man on the island. One book. I'm going to go outside of the graphic novel, comic book world, and I will say Don Quixote. It's one of my favorite books of all time, and most importantly, my favorite story of all time. I just love the question. I just love the subject of fantasy versus reality. What's real and what isn't, and if it's not real and it's not hurting anybody, then what's wrong with it? It's a timeless classic. I know that's cliche, but I read it when I was in grade 12 and absolutely loved it. And I highly recommend it to everyone. It's a difficult read, and now that I think about it, it would be great for a graphic novel. Wow, just came up with our next project.
For me, it would be a day in the life of Ivan Denisovich.
All right, and you're just going to leave it there?
It speaks for itself.
You're allowed to. All right. Last question.
Anthony's very verbose.
Last question is, what advice do you have for young comics creators?
I say just keep drawing, just keep working and working and working and working, and don't give up. I mean, if it's something that you're really passionate about, that you really love doing, then you just have to put in the time. I mean, Malcolm Gladwell talks about 10,000 hours of work in the book Outliers. And
Outliers. Is that a sequel to Outliers?
No, it's the French version.
Oh, right.
Outliers.
Outliers. There's the benefit of being from Canada.
We
get to read both. You wrote very different books.
And Connor, of course, was born in Montreal, in La Belle Provence, so I know a thing or two about that. Mais oui, c'est bon. But no, just keep working at it, and there's going to be a lot of difficulties and roadblocks along the way, but you just gotta, the more you work at it, the more talent you can get.
And I would say, I guess if you're going to do something like less inspirational, because that, I think, summed that up very nicely, learn the business angle. The most important thing about being a young creator is that this is an industry that it's not like film or TV where you can maybe do something brilliant and get a big check. You are going to have to know how to market it, how to sell yourself, and really even just to get to a publisher, make a case for why your idea isn't just a great idea that you love, but why other people will love it. And I think that's the number one thing that helped us out. Before we even, after we came up with the concept for Kill Shakespeare, before we wrote anything, we actually put together about an 80-page business plan to try to convince people why they should believe in us. And that really helped. It let us get a publisher, and it also gave us some financial freedom from investors that let us focus on Kill Shakespeare. And so yeah, learn the business side. Don't be afraid of it. It's actually fun. And you're still a cool creator, even if you know how to balance your checkbook and how to like talk to the money. In fact, you're cooler as a creator that way.
Well put, Anthony.
Thank you very much, you guys.